Go ahead, dude. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Well, we're late. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on Jordan. You can blame it on Jordan, but you shouldn't because it's not his fault. Our friend Adam Scherer, where did he go? I don't know. Tweets from last night may lead us to a certain conclusion, but who am I to judge? Anyway, what's going on? Appreciate you guys being patient. It's the Stokastic.com NBA strategy show presented by Prize Picks. I'm Dave Loughran at Laffy_D. Responsible adult, got up at 6:30 this morning, already got showered, feeling good. We can't say the same about everybody, but that's okay. We can say the same about Ryan Patnaik, or as you know him, Rimpack, showing up on call, pinch hitting here. This guy just got up, but guess what? He shows up. What's happening, man?
Good morning. Yeah, it's the first day of March Madness. The NBA kind of plays second fiddle for the next couple of weeks, but filling in for Adam. I hope there's no Amber Alerts going on in Baltimore area. I hope he's all right, and I hope he's going to be awake sooner than later.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Ken confirmed Jordan texted him and his phone was off. So
okay. Jordan got that green message, didn't get that blue that delivery on that iMessage.
Yeah. Let's just hope he's okay, because then everything I just said would be pretty messed up if he wasn't. My guess, though, is from past experiences that he's fine. Anyway,
I want chat to have a field day and guess where Adam is. I think if YouTube checking.
If I had to guess, he's sleeping and his phone died.
Yeah. And his alarm didn't go off. Yeah, that's probably the most realistic guess.
There was a time last NBA season, though, I was just telling you this, that I was checking Baltimore crime reports and stuff. Jordan remembers this because we didn't know where he was, and fortunately no hits, and he was okay. But yeah, I'm not doing that today. I know better. Fool me once, you know what I mean? Happy to have you guys here, though. Hit that thumbs up. Appreciate you being patient with us. Sometimes things happen. You know what I mean? Can't always be smooth sailing every single day, but we do our best. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you're watching after the fact. Of course, very simply, we try and read all of them, respond to as many as we can. And if you're listening in podcast form, subscribe to the podcast. Leave a rating and review. All that stuff goes a long way, and tell your friends about the show. So, see a lot of familiar names in chat. That makes me happy. Time to get this one going, Rimpack. You ready for a little 5-game Thursday action here?
Let's do it.
All right. So we'll kick it off with Denver. Oh, and by the way, a few monster spreads today. Indy is a 13.5-point dog. We're still waiting on Halliburton, Miles Turner, and a bunch of other guys. Denver's a 13-point road favorite against the tanking Pistons today. Orlando, 7.5-point dogs. That's, whatever. But two 13-plus point spreads on a 5-game slate to kick it off.
Yeah, it's just March NBA for you. Teams are chasing for Wembanyama. Some playoff teams are skidding, specifically Denver. Denver's lost 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Malone is pissed at his team not playing defense. So, yeah, a bunch of big spreads. And big spreads usually on DFS usually leads to even more volatile results, even more so than close games, just because the nature of blowouts that are potentially projected to happen. But we'll see what ends up actually happening by the end of the night. All
right, well, let's make it happen. We got Denver and we got Detroit. By the way, Boom Bust Tool is updated. The ownership projections are updated. Player projections are updated. And if you're looking to get in on this, 50% off everything for the first week or the first month, baseball or basketball and every other sport included, if you would like. All of that, link in the description. Jordan can throw that in the chat. Or if you just want to get in on the lineup generator is massive too. And it's $4.48 a week for your first week. Even if you're only playing $2 a day, get you in the door, let you check it out. You can swap players, lock players, export to CSV. It's sweet for the phone. So if you sneak off away from the family, you're looking to get some lineups in after work, maybe at work, fire one off and also set some lineups, or just pretending you are. No joke. We're already filtering out all of the bad lineups, only giving you the best lineups in there. And then you can make decisions for yourself. You can run lineups by cash game, by tournament, however you want to play it. $4.48 a week. And very happy to see the screenshots recently pouring in from all of those wins on the lineup generator. If you don't like it, you're down $4.48. My guess is you will, especially those of you who are active throughout the day. Got a lot of shit going on. I totally understand it. Lineup Generator is perfect for you. But otherwise, 50% off every membership that we have from top to bottom, week, month, one sport, every tool, 50% off whatever you're looking to get. Link in the description and in chat. All right, so let's kick it off. The Denver Nuggets today. And you do have Giannis and Jokic on this slate, a few high-priced guys. Sabonis playing the second leg of a back-to-back. We'll get into all of that. But right now, Jokic not popping in the boom bust tool outside of like the 37% boom percentage, but 14% ownership, 14.8% optimal score. So just seems like the standard good play that he kind of always is. If you're worried about a blowout here, that's one thing, Rinpack, but it is obviously a particularly good matchup for Jokic today against the Pistons.
Yeah, Nikola Jokic, we know on this slate, he could be the highest scoring player on the slate by 20 plus points. And a Detroit spot, that's as easy as it gets as a cake matchup for Jokic. If there's a blowout, it's probably on the back of Jokic just dominating, probably getting one of those not first half triple doubles, but midway third quarter triple doubles. It's so many boxes are checked for Jokic to be a solid play. Coming in low owned Jokic is probably the best type of Jokic on a DFS slate. Getting to Jokic, I think there'll be enough value for us by the time the slate starts. I know he's 12-2 over there on FanDuel. I think he's a great play as well, center only. But Jokic 11-6 on DraftKings, where you can roster him in both the center and utility. I think I'll be willing to take some chances on getting above the field. This Denver team's not in position to lose the 1 seed, but they did lose the number 1 overall seed in the NBA on their 4-game losing streak so far. And I think that matters, especially for a team like Denver. That extra extra home game in Denver and that altitude, if they're thinking ahead, they probably want that number 1 overall seed. They are now a game behind Milwaukee in terms of standings, I believe. I think Milwaukee just got to 50 wins. I think Denver sits at 49. So I'm just trying to forecast to see what the standings look like. I do think Nikola Jokic is a great play. And not just him. I think Jamal Murray can certainly do the damage if it's not Jokic at 7-7. My only concerns with Gordon and Porter Jr. is they kind of place they take the backseat to Jokic. You feel on Porter Jr. to really pop off. He needs to hit those 3-pointers at 6K. Mike Malone has said he's not been playing Porter Jr. consistently minutes because of his defense. And Porter Jr. clapped back saying, "It's tough for me to get in the rhythm. Coach is going to sit me for a whole quarter and expects me to come back for the final 30 seconds." So those two have always gone back and forth, but it's just who Michael Porter Jr. is.
You got to love that, though. You're like, how can I get in a rhythm if you're yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so outside of those guys, I'm just pulling up everything else we have right now. Aaron Gordon, the highest owned player on the slate at on the team at 20%. And then with only 5 games, really abbreviated slate, it's Murray, who's probable. He is on the injury report, but he's probable. Jokic, Porter, all of them are 14%. So is Bruce Brown, as a matter of fact. Like Detroit or Denver, particularly because of this matchup as well. And not exorbitant price points on a lot of these players either. Denver is relatively popular as a team. There's nobody that's getting like 40% impact, but as a team, there's 5 or 6 of these guys that are all in the double digits today. Yeah,
and I think that's a really good baseline. I mean, even a guy like Jeff Green right now, just because of the lack of sub 4K value, he's even getting some north of 10%. And I think he's not the type of guy to be willing to get above the field on, but it's against Detroit. People are just popping off against Detroit. I think last time out, the Wizards almost had 2 guys put up 60 fantasy points, and like Bradley Beal looked kind of like his vintage self. Detroit is just a really good get right spot for the Nuggets today, and it wouldn't shock me if multiple Nuggets players get there, even in limited minutes. That's just how bad Detroit is, and I think it's a worthwhile spot to getting above the field on multiple Denver players. And I think mixing and matching with Jokic and Murray, even Porter Jr. and Gordon, definitely worth it. Even Bruce Brown Jr., if you think he's going to find a way to get maybe that first half of that blowout run, he can certainly pay off a $4,600 price tag on DraftKings as well. And the team looks even solid on FanDuel as well. Porter Jr. 6,100. Aaron Gordon 6,700, also getting some ownership. It's a great spot against Detroit. That's the one way to sum up this Denver team. I think they look outstanding for tournaments. Getting above the field for them should be a priority.
Absolutely. And Josh plays DFS, says, hey, I wonder if the lineup generator is 50% off. Hey, Josh, it is. Listen, I would be remiss to not tell you guys about that. And out to Lunchable, what's the link? Links in the description and chat, dude, to all of that stuff. All right. On the Detroit side, Jaden Ivey is probable. So you have that. Once you get past that, though, you still have a lot of absences on a team like Detroit that is not particularly interested in winning basketball games right now. Not to say that some of these guys aren't actually injured, but Marvin Bagley's out. Bojan Bogdanovic is out. Isaiah Livers is out. Isaiah Stewart is out. Alec Burks is out. Diallo's out for the season from everything it seems. So they're still down a lot of players today, Rimpack, and that's going to, even as big dogs, force us to at least talk about some of these guys. The only caveat here is that a lot of these price points have adjusted now to all of the injuries. Like Wiseman's almost 7K. His minutes are all over the map. He might play 24 minutes in regulation or 31 minutes. It's very hard to say. Omari is 5,100. That price has come up considerably. Jaden Ivey, 7K now on DraftKings. Duran at 5,200 is interesting, but yeah, I mean, listen, these guys, and Ivey, to his credit, has been playing well and playing big minutes. I think we could definitely make an argument there. But a lot of the players that would have looked good even 5 days ago are starting to drift a little bit further down the preferences today.
Yeah, and that's just because with the insertion of Jaden Ivey returning from health and safety protocols, he's expected to be probable today. I'm assuming if he's going to be good to go, keep in mind it's health and safety. There was a time last year they were being cautious with their conditioning. That seems that has been pushed up to the wayside this season with the players coming back from health and safety. But Jaden Ivey probable at 7K. With him coming back, he just ruins the whole team. As in the sense, they don't look as appealing for tournaments as they did 2 nights ago. My guess the starting lineup is going to go Hayes, Ivey, Magruder, Omarui, Wiseman. Is my
I have such
guess.
a tough time with that name too. It is so hard to pronounce.
Omarui. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying you can get it right, but it never sounds right. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. You can't say it 10 times fast. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Sorry, go ahead.
But with him coming back, he's going to kind of just jump into the lead usage role, and he's $7,000. I'm willing to take some chances on him. I mean, the field certainly is going there both on FanDuel and DraftKings. He's 7K on DraftKings, even a better play at 6,900 on FanDuel. I think it's worth taking some chances on Ivy. It wouldn't shock me if Ivy finds a way to chuck up 20 shots a game with this shorthanded Pistons team. It's really bad. I don't expect Magruder to be taking up much usage anymore, as he's been will take a back seat. James Wiseman has been balling in the minutes he's playing in terms of fantasy point per minute production, but the minutes, like you said, are all over the place. If you want to take a chance on a mid-tier center at 6,900, certainly go for it at 7K. Be skeptical. The opportunity cost is Nikola Jokic. You can play Giannis on center as well. So kind of proceed with caution. Really, the only priority for me will be Jaden Ivey on the slate. I think he kind of hurts Killian Hayes a decent amount. I don't think Killian Hayes is going to get that much usage up, but the minutes should be there for both of those guys. I think those are my two favorite Pistons to go to, and then proceed with caution with everyone else. I just don't think they're going to garner enough usage with Ivy back on the court to be viable.
If you had to guess, what time was Adam Scherer's last tweet?
1:37 a.m. Eastern.
3:17 a.m. Eastern.
Oh yeah, he's cooked. Yeah, he's definitely cooked. He's definitely cooked.
3:17.
Hey, I got the digits right. They were just not in the right order.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you did actually. Not bad. 3:16 actually. Oh. But quote tweeting pitching ninja tweet. So that's good. All right. Well, anyway, OKC. How about this price on SGA? And I want to be clear about something. There are nobody right now, and injury news is going to pop up throughout the day sporadically. I just have very little doubt that, as we're entering the second half of March with teams like Detroit and Indiana and some of these other teams going today, that we're not going to have some injury news, that we're not going to have some stuff pop up. But right now, we don't have anyone above 30%. We don't have anyone above 29%, really. And then as far as like the high-priced players go, there's nobody in our ownership projections that is, wow. Okay, so of the like 9K and up guys, Rinpack, and this generally happens when you don't have a ton of an abundance of value. but like of Giannis, Sabonis, Jokic, Booker, all of those guys, SGA at 16% is actually the highest owned of anyone above 9K.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting to me. This OKC team, I believe they're sitting at 10th right now. So the last spot in the play-in game. And I haven't been able to get a feel. We're so used to OKC just getting like tanking, but do they want to be in the play-in game? Do they want to sit back? They have so many picks, it like almost doesn't matter. So I'm very curious on what their like team intentions are. But in terms of SGA today, like I like going to him. Oh, one big reason is he's going back to Toronto. That's where he's from, where he was born and raised. Arguably the best Canadian player right now in the league. I mean, Lou Dort's also Canadian, but I believe he was from Montreal. But SGA is going back home. 9 sub 10K SGA. I can certainly see him just lighting it up. I mean, certainly has the slim chance of being like ability to put up 50 plus fantasy points for sure. I know right now we are projected around the high 40s. I like even going to him on FanDuel just because of like the raw fantasy production he can just get and the ceiling upside he has. I think as the day evolves, we might get some value to open up. And OKC has just been a constant theme for me this season. It's been SGA and move on. But recently, we've seen the evolution of Jalen Williams. A lot of like NBA Twitter, a lot of the draft scouts have been like, oh, he's been the gem of the draft. He's been really good. And whenever SGA is off the court, he certainly lays it down at 7'1" and 7,700. He's shown the ability to pass and rebound. So he's definitely got better as the season's progressed. But it's tough for me to go to him when he's sharing the court with SGA. I really would willing to get above the field on SGA and kind of under the field on everyone else. Price specific Josh Giddey at 8K on FanDuel, sure, has shown this triple-double upside of late, but that's very inconsistent. Never expect him to get a lot of usage with SGA on the court. And Isaiah Joe continues to get ownership, but the minutes have gone down quite a bit of late. You really need him to get hot from the outside from 3. Over there on FanDuel, seems like a point guard only play, certainly getting around 20% ownership at 4,400. I'd be willing to look elsewhere, kind of like last man in, kind of shrug your shoulders and move on. I'm not that excited to go to Isaiah Joe at that type of ownership, but it's just really SGA. I really like the hometown narrative for him. I think it seems like a very fitting spot for SGA to outperform a 9.6 price tag, especially on DraftKings.
Agreed. Absolutely. It's a good price point here for a guy with massive use. The only odd thing is like SGA is just so heavily involved as a scorer on this team that the facilitating often takes a backseat role. Jalen Williams in potential assists, like since the start of the month, has been second behind only Josh Giddey. So makes it an interesting dynamic with this team. I do agree though that with Williams, it's like, you know, he has looked great. His minutes have been up. Jalen without the Y, of course. I know they know what you're talking about. He's been good. It's just, it does feel a little bit tough to get there at that price point today. Encouraging though to know that he has some upside as a playmaker as well. So you have the possibility of getting, you know, like the points, rebound, double, and then also throwing in a handful of assists along the way. We saw that last game. Obviously, this guy's not a prolific rebounder. I think that was his first 10 rebound game of the entire season. But the more minutes he plays, the more peripherals he should be able to rack up. What about the Toronto side for you? Siakam's down to 8,400. So we've seen these prices on Toronto fluctuate dramatically all year long, right? Like Siakam's been close to 11K, Van Vliet's been north of 10K often. And now they're both hovering in that 8K, that mid 8K range on DraftKings. Does this open up a good spot against the Thunder, no less, for us to get to some of these top options for Toronto tonight?
Definitely. And I think Siakam's price is corrected so much with the insertion of Jakob Poeltl at the 5. Siakam's rebound rate has, I don't know it off the top of my head, but has to have drastically dropped. I mean, it just is the natural progression of Jakob Poeltl being inserted in that starting lineup, playing 30 plus minutes consistently, some days under 30, but Jakob Poeltl has just taken away that rebounding upside from Siakam. Well, against this OKC team, this team's getting quite a bit of ownership. But Gary Trent Jr. has gone off the bench. I believe he's one of the highest owned players on this, projected to be one of the highest owned players. You really need him to play the upwards of high 20s minutes, get outside for the 3, where you get the 3-point bonus. He's certainly okay to go to, but I like going to Siakam. Anytime you're going to get Siakam at that price tag, I know we were so consistently see Siakam put up high 40s, low 50s when Jakob Poeltl wasn't in the picture, but Siakam still has that upside within him. It's going to be very scoring dependent now, maybe some facilitation. orientated as well, but I like going to him both. 8,400 on FanDuel looks even better than 8,400 on DraftKings. Even Van Vliet was outstanding last time out against Denver. He comes in at 8,600 on both sites as well. Certainly an option to go to, but I do definitely prefer Siakam. And I think you can also go to Jakob Poeltl in the mid-range. I like going to Jakob Poeltl instead of a guy like James Wiseman. Centers against OKC has been a recipe for success all season long. I think Jakob Poeltl looks like an outstanding center option as well. Well, it kind of puts Barnes and OG Anunoby in the shadows where they make for appealing tournament options. If a couple of those guys, if Siakam, Van Vliet were to fail, you can see maybe an outlier usage game for Barnes and Anunoby. It's an OKC spot where they can certainly get theirs, but it's just that their usage is never high enough. You really are relying on OG to pick up a lot of steals and blocks. He certainly can do that, but you really want some sort of usage confidence in those type of players. And at their projected ownership, I'm okay with getting the field, maybe a little less. But regardless, this Toronto team taking on OKC, kind of in order, I like going to Siakam, Poeltl, Van Vliet, and Trent, and then you can sprinkle in the other guys. But it's a really appealing team and a good spot against OKC in my opinion.
It is. And I got to at least throw this out there because chat was asking a question, and I think it's a justifiable question, right? Just questions about, can I play Siakam today? He hasn't been playing. He's been cheeks, is what Jake said. Zolo said Siakam isn't the same player. Look, it is definitely a little bit concerning recently just to see the steep drop, precipitous drop off from Pascal Siakam on a per minute standpoint. I really at this point don't necessarily know entirely what it is, because I just pulled up on-offs and his per minute fantasy production is lower with Jakob Poeltl off the floor since he came and higher with Poeltl on the floor. So I'm not sure exactly what to credit the real steep drop off in production to with Siakam, or we should just expect positive regression here and for him to get back to where he was.
Yeah, and another factor could be he could be just damn tired. Nick Nurse was playing these guys 40 minutes for so long in the season.
True.
And the tires might have just fallen off for Siakam, where maybe he realized they're pretty much like they will be in the play-in game, where trying to just soak up whatever energy they have for that play-in game just to dog it through until then. I don't know. I'm just building up a narrative here, but Nick Nurse has definitely ran like these guys to the ground. I mean, he's gone like full Thibodeau on them and throughout the season. But yeah, like you said, that's very interesting to know that he's performed better with Poeltl on the floor. So maybe teams are figuring it out on how to contain him a little bit more and forcing other guys to produce. I haven't really looked at defensive schemes against the Raptors, but there could be multiple factors why he's been on a disappointing stretch since the trade deadline. I think he up into the All-Star break, he was fine. But the trade deadline, trade deadline, he's definitely fallen off quite a bit.
Yeah. Even scoring recently, like usage has been down. It's odd. It is odd, but I guess he's at a price point now where you might be able to adjust it. Or you just go to Jalen Williams and say, hey, I'll take the $1,300 discount on Jalen Williams. But Siakam, the more proven player. It is, I do see where chat's coming from, though, just in that it's a scary spot right now. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's keep it moving here. Sacramento and Brooklyn. So we got the Kings. Second of a back-to-back on the road, Rimpack. That's always going to be interesting. I actually, in the NBA Best Bets video on the Odd Shopper channel yesterday, told you guys to hit that old Sabonis triple-double prop plus 390. Boom, got there with time to spare. So that felt good. The guy's been an absolute monster. He's triple-doubled in like 4 of his last 5 games. Played 40 minutes yesterday. I even went back and was looking at Sacramento back-to-backs. And they've played all of these back-to-backs insanely close. Remember, the last one was Minnesota, 1-point game. Before that, it was the Clippers double overtime, 176 to 175. They're just a fun team to talk about, whether it's them or the opponent, because they have the #1 offensive rating in the league and the 26th ranked defensive rating in the league. Only 2 teams allow more points than them per game, and that's the Spurs and the Detroit Pistons. So, like, this is one of those spots where it's like in the NFL where you get one of those phenomenal offensive teams that's a sieve defensively, and every single day you just stack it. It's not necessarily the same with Sacramento in that you're stacking games, but you're always going to be able to find something from these spots because the totals are always through the roof and the shootout potential is nuts.
Yeah, and Sacramento, obviously one of the kind of the great stories in the NBA, them being the 2 seed. They're kind of essentially the Denver Nuggets light across like their starting 5. They're just lighter versions of all the Nuggets players, and they've been impressive. Like you said, Sabonis triple-double last night. De'Aaron Fox had a game-winning 3 almost at the buzzer. I think there was like 0.7 seconds left. Those two have been balling. And in a Brooklyn spot, I know it's a back end of a back-to-back, but this team so far, they haven't really rested guys on the back end of the back-to-backs or front end of the back-to-backs yet. Maybe that happens as they like try to solidify the 2 seed or 3 seed as the season wraps up. Keep in mind it is a back end of back-to-back. They did travel from Chicago to Brooklyn, short flight, but this Sacramento team on this slate, no issues going to Sabonis. If you want to get above the field on Fox, it won't take much. They certainly have that upside to do so. We've seen Keegan Murray's minutes fall off. He no longer is closing games for them of late over the last week or so. We've seen the likes of Kessler Edwards take some minutes. Trey Lyles was suspended last game, so the rotation was kind of fluky, more or less because of an outlier game. Malik Monk has closed some games alongside them as well, depending on where they stand. So I feel confident in Fox and Sabonis' minutes, but the rotation from anywhere from Herter, Barnes, Monk, and Murray, it's kind of up in the air just because those minutes have been all over the place of late. But an appealing tournament spot for those type of players. Barnes certainly can find a way to play high 30s minutes at 5,100. He's getting a lot of ownership at 5,300 on FanDuel. He's just like an all right play. He seems like an optimizer-esque play. He just fits in your lineups. But I'd be willing to take some chances on a guy like Malik Monk, who certainly can get hot from the outside, get you that 3-point bonus at 4,500. If you want to take a chance on Keegan Murray at 4,100, if there's a way that he finds a way to close the game again, it's going to pay off. I think instead of playing 25 minutes, finds a way to play 35 minutes or 33 minutes. That's a huge difference in fantasy point projection. Right now, we have him projected for 25 minutes, but that's just because he's not been closing games, losing minutes to guys like Kessler Edwards, even maybe a little bit to Trey Lyles as well. So pick your poison spot. A team that's not getting that much ownership right now, but certainly a lot of ceiling across the board, especially with Fox and Sabonis.
All right. I just got a response from Adam Scherer. What did I say happened? What did I say happened when we started this show?
You probably nailed it. Phone shut off, and he didn't know it's still shut off.
No need to search for Baltimore murders, Laffy. I try to save these days for when I have too much fun the night before, but this time I simply forgot to charge my phone and it died.
Oh.
Yep. There we go. My guess is he was having some fun if he's up at 3 o'clock and slept through it, but yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I wasn't worried. Wasn't worried. Adam is okay, as anticipated. All right, cool. We're good to go. Anything else on Sacramento, or you want to talk about Brooklyn here? Because this is an intriguing spot for the Brooklyn Nets today. I mean, across the board. And Bridges, interestingly too, Bridges is another one of those guys where he's only shooting guard eligible. He's 8,300, not pulling a ton of ownership, but he has a 28% usage rate since he came over. He's playing like 40 plus minutes in competitive spots right now, which is crazy. I'm talking in regulation, which is crazy. Dinwiddie's 79, Claxton 6,600. Everyone in Brooklyn right now is popular. I really do understand this though. Even Seth Curry at 3,300 near minimum salary is pulling 23% on a slate where we're kind of devoid of value right now. Brooklyn's going to be a popular team, but it makes sense when you look at the complexion of this Sacramento team. Also, second of a back-to-back on the road, as we pointed out.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind, I'm going to send a message to our NBA data team. Nerlens Noel's 10-day contract was not re-upped. He was no longer with the Brooklyn Nets, so expect those minutes to be cleared up soon. Maybe Daron Sharp takes them, but I have interest in all the starters pretty much because the minutes that they're playing in the Sacramento spot. Dorian Finney-Smith, the least amount of interest just because, like, you really need him to just knock down as many open threes as he can. He's not going to put his head down and drive to the basket like Mikal Bridges has been doing. And I think what Mikal Bridges has done since the trade, I think has shocked, I want to say, almost every single NBA fan. I didn't know he had this in him. I think he's probably even shocked himself just because like he's been playing like Kevin Durant light. It's just been really impressive. He's been amazing. And I think I have interest in all these guys, even Cam Johnson, because of the minutes he's playing where he's getting a 3-point upside. They look like even at better plays on FanDuel because of their price tag. So I love this Brooklyn team. I'd be willing to get above the field on Dinwiddie, Bridges, Claxton, and Johnson in that order. I think they look like phenomenal tournament plays. Huge upside against Sacramento team on a back end of the back-to-back. They look great on FanDuel as well. This Brooklyn team looks awesome. Now to circle back on Seth Curry, sub 4K. If he's gonna do some damage, it has to be from the outside at 3,300. You're really hoping for like 3 or 4 3-pointers, a couple assists, and he's kind of there. Because right now we haven't really touched on many players sub 4K. We mentioned Jeff Green earlier, and Seth Curry's the other guy. So if you want to make a pivot off into a Joe Harris, maybe Joe Harris is the guy who gets hot. I know he's projected for fewer minutes, but Joe Harris certainly has that similar upside as Curry, as they both can get hot from the outside with that 3-point bonus on DraftKings. But be skeptical with that Seth Curry ownership. I don't think I'll get there. I think I'll be willing to take some chances on some players around his price tag with similar upside. But right now, we don't have much sub 4K value.
It's also surprising to me that Seth Curry's getting 24%, 23% when none of the crazy high-priced options are even pulling ownership right now. Like you would usually see a correlation there between like, all right, these guys are popular because you got to get to Jokic or you got to get to Giannis, but we're not seeing crazy ownership on any of them.
Yeah, it's like a mix and match your stud slate with some value, it seems like. So
yeah,
it's going to give us an opportunity to get potentially some leverage on being above the field on certain studs. If you have a lean on one of the studs and if they pop off, you're going to have a huge leg up on the field. I know we haven't touched on Giannis, but we've touched on Jokic. SGA is definitely classified as stud on this slate. So far, those expensive guys, that ownership is very diversified. I think if you are willing to make a stance on one of them, I think if they pay off, you're going to be sitting in good shape tonight.
All right. Well, let's get into the Indiana Pacers. This should be fun. Before we do that, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Oh, Prize Picks. Best offer we have on the site. No question about it. No second thoughts. You're getting 100% deposit bonus up to $100 at Prize Picks, number one, when you use the link in the description and the one in chat. Also, you're getting a free month of literally everything that we have on the site over at Stokastic, right? I mentioned it earlier. Like, if you're already at Prize Picks or you can't take advantage of Prize Picks in your state, you're still getting 50% off literally everything. But if you can take advantage of it, you can bypass all of that and go, I think I'd rather just get a month for free instead. And if you've been sitting on the fence wondering like, do I do it? I don't know why you wouldn't. You could put $10 in over at Prize Picks, still get the free month, $120 value. There you go. Deduct 110 off that 120. Actually, that's not even true because you're getting the 100% deposit bonus up to $100 anyway. So that's matched. I mean, it literally is free across the board when you think about it. Plus, Prize Picks is a sick place to play on. But think about this. You're sitting on the sidelines. You're like, do I sign up there? I don't know. I have trouble with commitment. This is always an issue for me. Am I making the right decision? First of all, there's no like, is this a right decision? It's a straight no-brainer. But think of this. MLB starting in less than in literally 2 weeks. NBA in full swing. March Madness about to tip off, right? March Madness tipping off. NHL, MMA, NASCAR. What else? There's more. There's PGA, XFL, all of that stuff. That's only what I can think of. If there's contests out there, we have content for it across the board. So you're not
I'm gonna interrupt you. We also added PGA Rainmakers.
That's right. PJ Raymond. And we got F1 projections. We got everything. They have contests out there. We have content for it across the board. Every single sport, boom, bust tool, ownership, top stacks, all the simulation tools, everything you need, projected stats, all the data you're looking for, the lineup generator, the lineup builder, the fantasy cruncher add-on if you're looking to do that, everything. All sports. What better time to be like, hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring with some of these other sports. I don't know them well, but I can use these tools just like everyone else did over the All-Star break. And, we got so many screenshots. Like, I don't know shit about the NHL, but here's a $3,000 win, and like using the tools. So it's free to you, $120 value, and you're getting into our Discord for free. So check it out. Go win on Prize Picks. Use Josh's video. He's been crushing. Use our tools. Link in the description, link in chat. Make sure to use that, because if you don't, you're not getting the free month. But this is exactly as it sounds. Free month, everything on our site, full calendar month, including the Discord. Check it out. Come join the community and say what's up in Discord when you do. All right. Where are we at? Indy. Okay.
Indy.
I don't know how much we can actually get into this right now, Rimpack, because I mean, Halliburton did get back to practicing yesterday, so that's good. But he's questionable. Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, questionable. Hield played like, 22 minutes in that last game after being questionable. McConnell, questionable. Duarte out. Benedict Mathurin is out. This team is a mess right now.
It is a mess, and they're also a mess in terms of considering for your lineups tonight. Right now, nobody on either side is projected more than 10%. Okay, Miles Turner, I think, is at 10.5. But this team is really gross to look at if everyone plays, because they're priced like all their studs are out. So, but they're not if they all play. So it makes a really difficult situation to even navigate through this. Like, Halliburton's the same, similar price tag as SGA. I prefer SGA quite a bit more. Indiana's going to Milwaukee. Milwaukee is not an easy matchup whatsoever. And I'm very skeptical to go to any of these Pacers guys. And I think it's something to look at, and we kind of wait and see approach here. Look, if we get a similar situation to what they had against Detroit, they're going to look like a lot more appealing, where you can go to guys again like Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield. We saw Jordan Nora get hot last time. I'm just skeptical with this team across the board if they're all going to play. It makes it really difficult to break down the way things are because of like the people who are questionable. My guess is there's a good chance a lot of those questionable guys will play, where will make this team very, very unappealing for DFS purposes. If I was going to play one player on a Pacers team, it probably will be Miles Turner. It's like really difficult. It took me a long time to even think about that. Miles Turner over there on FanDuel 7,900, where you get the block upside, can certainly pan out. But it's a really, really gross situation right now with Indy. We touched on a much more exciting game in Sacramento and Brooklyn. Better game in Toronto and OKC. This team is going to be very unowned. The only upside here is like you can get a very low on Pacers team with very limited upside. If you want to take a chance on some of these guys, go for it. I can't really sit here and make an argument for really anybody here.
Yeah, and a lot of this could go from not healthy at all to them being almost entirely healthy outside of Duarte and Benedict Mathurin, and then you're getting a bunch of price points that have already adjusted for some of these absences. So it draws down the appeal on that a lot. I say listen, we got the deeper dive coming up tonight as well. You got live before lock. You guys know in these early shows, sometimes we're just not going to have information, but at least we lay the foundation. You know what we're looking for now. And then we can play off of that as we go throughout the day, start tweaking lineups and watch the live before lock show and deeper dive. On the Milwaukee side, though, the only question now is, will Brook Lopez play? So if Brook Lopez is out, that could open some things up in the front court. But as it stands, Giannis, 11%. I mentioned this earlier. Like Giannis, Jokic, none of these guys really drawing a ton of love. Middleton's price point has come up considerably. He has played 34 minutes in back-to-back games, so that's encouraging. But he's 8,200 on DraftKings. Holiday's 8,500 on DraftKings. This is another one of the lowest owned teams today, even though it's a short slate.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Lopez news. He didn't get suspended, only got fined 25 grand, which I found shocking. I thought he's the one who struck Lyles first in the head. But did you get that? Did you get to see that little kerfuffle between Lyles and Lopez?
I did, yes.
Yeah, Lopez didn't get suspended. Lyles did, but okay, if Lopez is out, I think we can make Bobby Portis a real thing again at 6,500, at 6,700. My guess is he'll enter the starting lineup for Brolo, and he'll look like a very awesome play against Indy. I know there's a pathway Bobby Portis playing 30-plus minutes, and when he's on the court, he finds a way to get it done, even sharing the court with likes of Middleton and Giannis and Drew. Granted, the usage will be much lower. We're used to going to Bobby Portis in full form when one of those or two of those guys are out. But like you said, my real option here to go to is Giannis. Middleton's minutes are not high enough yet to get there at 8,200. That's quite the price tag. He's 8K on FanDuel. 8,100 for Drew Holiday and FanDuel, and 85 for Drew. I think they're just better options to go to in the rest of the slate. I think Giannis looks like a great option, but no one really else. And I'll go to Bobby Portis if Lopez is out. But if Lopez is in, I can't even advocate for him. He's so expensive, 8K, 7,800 on FanDuel and DraftKings respectively. It makes things awfully difficult to go to this Milwaukee team. The one thing it is, it's a great pacer spot. So that's why I'm really excited to go to Giannis as he's making a last push for MVP here. He's 12K, and I think there's enough value to jam him in there. It's going to be difficult to jam in two studs. Right now, the way things stand, it's going to get really ugly. You're going to have to take some chances on the guys like Seth Curry that we touched on. And on this Milwaukee team, there's no one really sub 4K I can go to in confidence. You want to sprinkle in some Pat Connaughton to get a little different? Sure. But that's really about it, just because value is super bleak right now in terms of sub $4,000.
It is. Value's tough to get to. There really isn't. There isn't much out there at all. If you're building lineups right now and you want to come across something that looks good on paper, you're probably going to have a very balanced build.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of balanced build options, especially in the Sacramento-Brooklyn game. That whole Brooklyn starting lineup is about balanced build, and they're in a great spot, pretty much against Sacramento. We've touched on some good Toronto players as well. And then the Denver team, and in the beginning, like they're taking on Detroit, and that's like as the best matchup on the slate. And certainly guys outside of Jokic could get the job done. And I think you bring a great point. If the slate were to start at 11 a.m. Eastern, I think we're going for a very balanced build right now, but a lot can change in the next 7 hours.
Yeah, it's something. The second shoe will drop, like it always does. Even if it's just one piece, could certainly open things up. But anyway, let's want to wrap this up with Orlando and Phoenix.
Let's do it.
And by the way, 11 likes till we get to 100. I know we started off late today. Don't blame Rimpack. Actually, you should thank him for he wasn't supposed to be on a show, but he's here. If anything, give the thumbs up, take that single second, atone for your sins, and say, Rimpack, I appreciate you, man. You're coming in and you're keeping us afloat here. Do it for Jordan Klein. Don't do it for me. Do it for the love of this show and the fact that we keep it rolling no matter what. We will get there. Confident in that. Appreciate you guys, though, and appreciate your patience. I know we started off real late today. Let's wrap this one up. Orlando and Phoenix. Orlando Magic, 7.5-point dogs here, 228.5-point total. Another team, the only questionable player here is Gary Harris. Aside from that, they're mostly healthy. And is it any surprise to you, though, that like some of the ownership coming in, it's not like there's a super popular team, but it's another mid-range spot, like 13.5% going to $6,500 Wendell Carter Jr., 13% going to $6,400 Markelle Fultz. We're seeing a lot of this across most of these teams today. Yeah,
and it's Orlando team that I really never have interest in going to. They're very healthy, and their minutes are kind of flat. I know Banchero leads their usage pretty much by a float here. Pretty much a lock for Rookie of the Year. He's by a landslide at this point. And you can sprinkle in some of these Orlando guys. And say I have a clear favorite at their projected ownership right now makes it really difficult. Like Franz Wagner at 6,100. If he finds a way to play low 30s minutes, you're hoping for some extra shots to hop in. And if he finds a way to 30 fantasy points, you're content. That's just the way this slate is. Like we're looking for guys in previous, like the last couple of days, we're looking for guys to do like what? I know we're old-fashioned ways to look at it, 7-8x their salary. But today, I think you would be content getting like a 4.5 and 5x, just the way things stand right now, based on their salary. And Franz Wagner can certainly pay that off. Wendell Carter Jr. has shown some upside games. It's a Phoenix spot. It's just the lack of center options. If you don't want to pay up for Jokic, you can certainly go to a guy like Wendell Carter Jr. in the mid-range. I think he's a fine option to consider. But another Orlando team that I'm not that interested in going to against Phoenix. Their backcourt is very crowded, even with Gary Harris, questionable. Now, if Harris is out, I think I'll have some more interest in taking some chances on Suggs and Anthony. I think they can steal some minutes from him for sure. And maybe they find a way to play low 30s minutes. Maybe one of them cracks a 30 if Harris is out. It'd be difficult to see who would take up Gary Harris's minutes. Maybe They dust off Caleb Houston from the bench, but that's really about it. Tough Orlando team to go against. Keep an eye on the backcourt here. If Gary Harris is out, don't mind getting a little bit more of Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs.
See the Cameron Payne ownership on the other side of this game?
Oh man. Oh man. It's that type of slate, right? We're looking
Yeah,
at
right now it is. Cameron Payne, Josh Okogie, 25 and 22% respective. They can't hold on. Let me see where they're at in the boom bust. I have to see what the optimal score is on these guys because the Seth Curry optimal score was way lower than his projected ownership. Yeah, like Cameron Payne minus 6% leverage right now in the boom bust.
It's that type of slate. We're gonna have to play some gross, uncomfortable sub $4,000 values to get in those studs.
Do we even want to? I mean, the way I look at this is, let's just say, as you pointed out, like let's say the slate starts in an hour and nothing changes. Okay. Brooke Lopez ends up being in. All of the Pacers end up being in. Grayson Allen out for Milwaukee. I forgot to mention that earlier, but whatever. Like Durant and Landry Shamet are out, but that makes no difference whatsoever. Ben Simmons being out makes no difference. We know that Ivy's expected to play. So, and Murray's probable. So let's just assume everyone's in, right? If that's the case, and you're playing Cameron Payne, you're playing for 17, 18 minutes, hoping that he shoots well and gives you enough peripherals to get you to like 25 fantasy points. Same with Seth Curry. You said it. Seth Curry's going to need to hit 4 or 5 threes to get you there because he does nothing elsewhere.
Yeah, you're really hoping for outlier usage from one of these sub 4K players. That's why I'm like, even at like a completely different ownership, right? Terrence Ross has that microwave upside within him, right? Even though in 18 minutes, he's very old, right? It's been a while. But if Ross is somehow going to be to play 18 minutes against his former team, Terrence Ross can certainly find a way to get hot. And I think I'd be willing to take some chances on some other 4K players outside of the chalky players. Maybe coming under the field on guys like Payne and Seth Curry. And as it goes and sounds, take some chances on a guy like Terrence Ross tonight on DraftKings. He's 3,700. We've touched on some of the Denver guys. Additionally, looking at up top here for the Phoenix team, Torrey Craig is 3,800. He can find a way to play high 20s minutes. But it's the big three here. I think it's led by Booker. I like getting above the field on a guy like Devin Booker at 9,900. This team is going to be without Kevin Durant pretty much up until the playoffs, it feels like.
It does.
Yeah. And it's
Booker, go ahead.
I'm concerned for this team in the playoffs. Like, they'll be fine. They'll find a way to make it work, but you would like them to get at least a couple games under their belt instead of just going. I don't think they've all played. They've played maybe like 40 minutes together collectively. They're like big three, Paul, Ayton.
Yeah, 3 games.
Yeah. And some of those games Durant was limited. So, but they looked great when they were healthy though, but we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, they sure did. They got wins in all 3 of them. Not exactly the stiffest competition, but you mentioned Booker. He's at 11% ownership right now. Can't help but look at the fact that this guy played the entire second half last game. He played 43 minutes in regulation. I know that he wasn't overwhelmingly impressive, but yeah, the Devin Booker minutes, I think there's upside at this stage of the season without Kevin Durant right now. I think there's upside for us to see some monster playing time from Devin Booker, sitting at 4th in the West right now. But you look at the teams that are on their heels, Rimpak. You've got the Clippers, who are a half game behind them. They're tied in the win column. You got the Warriors, who we know can make a run at any given time. They are 1 game behind them, 1.5 games behind them, only 1 in the win column. Even the Timberwolves right now are a couple games behind them. So are the Mavs. Like, this is not a situation where you just coast to the finish line if you're Phoenix and hope to get to Kevin Durant back. You're going to be seeing, if we're in competitive spots, let's just assume this is today, you could be seeing more than just a few occasions where Devin Booker's pulling 40+ minutes in regulation.
Yeah. And that alone, I think you got to take some chances on him. Like, it's kind of been the tail of the slate. All the studs are coming in with pretty low ownership. So it's well worth taking some chances on a guy like Booker, who's coming in with around 12% ownership.
Yeah.
Anything that will tick up as the day evolves. Josh Okogie had a quick little splash there for about 3 weeks, and he's kind of come down to earth. He hasn't been as impressive of late, but he can certainly find a way. He's going to play all those minutes to pay off a $5,100 price tag. I continue to be skeptical about him, but he's proven me wrong quite a bit last month. So he's come down to earth recently, but I think going to Ayton or Paul certainly look like fine tournament options as well. I just think focusing on Booker, Ayton, and Paul make a lot of sense, and then mixing and matching those sub 4K values, that being Payne, Craig, even Terrence Ross, I mentioned, I think can find a way to mix and match the slate.
I'm with you. I like Ayton quite a bit. I think it's a very reasonable price point. Nobody took a bigger hit than DeAndre Ayton when Kevin Durant stepped onto the floor. You look since Kevin Durant once again has departed, and there you go again. DeAndre Ayton's usage just soars back up around 25%. Last game, throw that out the window. He was in constant foul trouble all game. He had 5 fouls like 3 or 4 minutes into the third quarter, and still got up 19 field goal attempts in 25 minutes. Yeah, Ayton's a real nice play in this spot against Orlando. Let's close it with this. And by the way, appreciate you guys as always. Crushed 100 likes here. And again, prize picks, 50% off, free month, whatever you're looking for, everything's in the description and in chat. Love to have you guys join the community. The whole reason we do this is because we expect you to win with these tools, and then we hope you stick around. So our way of saying, come check them out and win with them, because we expect you to win, and we want you to stick around and become part of the community here. Last question. If you had to pick your favorite value play of the slate, right now, I know it's so gross, dude. Sub 5K. We can even go sub 5K here. I'm not even going to pigeonhole you into the sub 4K and make you choose between like a Cameron Payne or a Seth Curry or a Torrey Craig. Favorite play sub 5K today on DraftKings?
Sub $5,000 favorite value play. Man, it's going to sound gross, Lofty, but I'm going to take the likes of Dorian Finney-Smith finding a way to play 35 minutes in that Sacramento spot. I think I will be willing to take some chances on Dorian Finney-Smith.
I totally get it. Totally get it. Good matchup. You're just hoping that he falls into some numbers. He's playing 34 plus minutes a night. I think that's the right answer, as gross as it sounds.
Yeah, I'm just going to take minutes equal money in this situation. But you can make an argument for Gary Trent Jr. You can make an argument for some other players you're going to need an outlier usage game where they get hot. We touched on guys like Curry, Campaign. Gary Trent falls in that boat. He doesn't play as many minutes as he wants used to.
And Finney-Smith could play 38 minutes today, and hopefully you get 25 out of him.
Yeah. You could also get 15 out of him. That's just who Dorian.
Yeah. Well, I was saying like the ceiling is 25 fantasy points, but yeah, I got you. Anyway, hey, appreciate you filling in, man. Good show. Appreciate it.
Enjoy March Madness.
Yeah, man. You too. Follow him. Rinpack, RYNPAK over on the Twitters. Me, Laffy _D, LOUGHY _D. Shout out to Jordan Klein as always. Go give Adam shit on Twitter too. He won't care, but it'll be fun for me to watch. Appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you back here tonight for the Deeper Dive live before lock. And if you're a better Odd Shopper channel, baby, the Odd Shop, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Segue yourself from that into Deeper Dive and make a night of it. We'll see you back here later. Peace.